morning, and welcome to Naturally Kim's Knitting. Sorry, I have to get a little adjusted there. My name is Kim, and I am your hostess for this gab fest of mine, basically, where I supposedly talk about knitting and spinning and some sewing and dyeing of yarns and all kinds of crafty things from outside of Lima, Ohio, where I live with my puppy dog Ginger, my kitty cat Birdie, and my dear, dear husband Randy, who puts up with this craziness all the time. Anyways, today is February 7th, and this is episode 101. It's so funny because in my mind I'm thinking, my husband puts up with my craziness all the time. Maybe that's why he works the hours he does. Sorry about that. Anybody who has watched me for any time at all knows that I go on these little talking tangents and about nothing and everything. Anyways, I'm trying to think where I was going to go with that. Oh, I wanted to welcome everybody who's watching this today, whether you're a first-time viewer, welcome, 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 or if you've been here for a long time. I won't say from episode 1, because like I said, episode 1, I was learning everything, and it was a mess. Anyways, I love all of you. Big hugs to all of you. And I want to welcome you here to my house. And if you hear a noise in the background, my puppy dog has very sore paws. And she licks them. You know, they're like chapped lips where you want to keep licking them. And my poor little girl, she's over there licking them. And she's very loud when she does it. Okay, so what do I have on my needles today? Well, a lot of things that I can't show you still. I am working right now on my needles for Cece, who is one of the geeky girl knits, and for Dammy, her daughter. I have gotten all the patterns done except for one pair of socks, a cowl, and a wrap, which I just started last night. And I think that's the last pattern, which is good because I really kind of want to do my own little knitting for a while then. I need to take a little break. But those are for Cece, and anybody who's ever seen her work in the past, or who has watched Geeky Girls Knits, which I highly recommend, you know that she does they both do beautiful work, and their patterns are always exquisite. They're just wonderful. So anyways, so I am working on those things, and those are on my needles, but I cannot show them to you yet. Let's see, but I have not marked that from hibernating yet. I'm almost finished with it. I haven't really got to work on a lot of my own stuff this week because, like I said, I've been working on Cece's things. But I did have a doctor's appointment yesterday, and so I thought, okay, let's take my sock with me because this is blind knitting. Well, they gave me like a booklet to fill out of forms and things, so I really didn't get to do much on it. But this is it. This is my scrap yarn sock. The toes and the heels are from one yarn, and actually this is all from another. And it's going to continue into the second sock, but you're going to see how it changes. I'm almost ready for the, I probably am ready for the ribbing at the top, but I haven't got there yet. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to put into it, since I'm really trying to work on Cece's things. But I did get 2 squares done on my daughter's blanket, but I have it away right now so that it's easier for me to get to when I'm sitting in my chair. Let's see. Is that if it's on my needles that I can show you guys? I guess it is. That's all that's on my needles. However, I do have 2 finished objects. I love this hat. This is some of my homespun yarn, and it's a little beanie. And it's for the Chemo kids. But I love the hat. It's a soft yarn. I don't think it'll be too itchy or anything. I think it's very soft, very pretty. And I'm hoping some child who gets this appreciates it. I know they will. But this is my 4th, 5th Chemo Cat of the year. I'm trying to keep track down in my resolutions for the year of how many things I make. Not counting the pattern test yet until they're released. But so this is a hat that I finished this week. And I've been talking about my scarf turned out instead of soup kitchen, it's going to a family member. Homespun. Ta-da! Isn't that pretty? And it's soft. Oh, and I got my little fringe on it. And so, yeah. So that's my first scarf that I finished for the year. I've got to get moving if I'm going to get 12 done for the year. And that's all I've got finished this week. Can you believe it? Now, I do have a couple things that aren't needle related that I have been working on. And this, I am loving. This is some of my homespun. And I think I'm going to keep it as a single. I still have some that I'm spinning. But this is the roving. I have divided it up into littler sections. Now, anybody who's a spinner, I apologize. I do not have all the terminology. I just know what I do and how I understand it. But this is what I'm using to make that lovely yarn. And I'm going to take that yarn and I'm going to make a shawl. That's why I'm keeping it as a single. It doesn't have nylon in it, so I didn't think it would make a good sock. But I thought, very pretty. And then I've had this roving for eons. And I don't even remember where I got it from. But it was a dirty, not really dirty, but it looked dirty roving when I got it. And this past Friday, I'm sitting there thinking, what can I do to brighten it up so that it doesn't look dingy or whatever? And so I decided a little bit of yellow. And then I sprinkled it with different Kool-Aids. Black cherry and I think I just went black cherry and cherry because I really wanted to see if there was a difference in the colors there that they make. And I suppose the black cherry is a little bit darker than the cherry. But it turned out nice. So with that yarn, I'm going to try doing something called chain plying it, if my fingers will allow me to. It's supposed to make it a little bit sturdier, and then I'm not sure. I'll probably make a scarf or something out of it, but that's, sorry, this is just tea. That's my dyeing that I did for this week. Now, anything else that, oh, I did make, where did I put it? I'm sorry, you know me. No, I have all my things around me, but then when I get done with them, I put them to the side and I put them on top of other things. Well, I made some beautiful soap this week. And, oh, here it is. Because I was going to record in my chair, but that wasn't going to work. And it's got a clover on it, but that has nothing to do with the smell. Oh, I'm sorry. I've decided I'm going to call this one Almost Heaven. Because it has lavender and patchouli and peppermint in it. And when you smell it, it's so funny because if you smell the top, you smell the lavender and the patchouli mixed together with a little peppermint. But peppermint must be a heavier fragrance. Because I noticed on the bottom of each one of these is peppermint. I smell a little patchouli, but you don't smell the lavender. So anyways, this is some of my latest soap that I made. I don't know that I'll use that mold when I'm making it because I told my husband that seems like it should have a springtime scent or whatever. And this one, oh, like I said, I think I'm going to call it Almost Heaven. Okay, now I've not really been looking at my notes. Oh yes, I don't have a new knit crate order that I've gotten recently since last week, but I have one on the way. And I do want to remind you, I love the knit crate yarns that I get. They did tell us that the next yarn isn't going to have nylon in it, which is weird since I'm in the sock knit crate. You would think that they would put nylon or something synthetic in there to help it maintain its hold or its shape. But they said that the yarns that, or the fibers they put together to make this yarn helps it to hold its shape. So we will see. I'm not convinced, but I will try either a pair of socks for myself or my husband because I'm not gonna, if it doesn't hold its shape, there's no sense in that. I may end up frogging it if that's the case and making a little one skein shawl. But if I like it and it holds its shape, we may lose out and it may go to the soup kitchen. I want to get the socks done for them, but I also want to get socks done for family and everything too. But anyways, if you're interested in knit crates, like I said, I love their yarn. They have many different crates. Um, and I have a code on my show notes, either in Ravelry. I'm going to try to put my show notes underneath the YouTube thing, but it won't link up. You'll have to copy and paste. I'll put it on my WordPress and I'll put it on Blogger. Um, that's where my show notes can be found. And if you're interested, go ahead and use that link, and you get $10 off the first box, and I get a little discount. I don't even know what I get. Something. And then, of course, these are things that make me happy, but I don't really have anything to show for them right now. Knit Picks is having, they started their new monthly yarn sale, and this month it's 20% off their Lindy chain, which is a linen and I want to say Pima. I think it's Pima cotton yarn, and it's supposed to be beautiful and wonderful for warmer weather. Hold its shape and look, just drapes nicely. I've not personally made anything from it, but it might be worth trying out for 20% off. I've thought about getting a skein, but I've got other things I need to put my money for my spinning wheel. So I'm trying to hold off for right now. I'm purchasing things that I don't really need. Okay, then I have some books from Dover. That's where I've gotten books in the past about crafty things. These are not going to be given away, and you'll see why in a minute. I love adult coloring books, and they're adult only because they're so fanciful. Well, and this is called Fanciful Sea Life, and of course it's by Dover Publishing. And I'll show you some of the pictures in here. I'm not going to bore you by looking at all of them when you can't color them. But I love coloring. And I love the fact that, when I grew up, my mom was a stickler for staying in the lines, of course. And, and using the proper colors for the proper things. Well, what I like about doing my own knitting, it doesn't matter. I can make that lighthouse any two colors I want to make it. And that volcano, it can be any color I want to make it. And with the designs that they have on the animals, there's one picture in here I wanted to show you because I just really love it. They have penguins in here, which will be fun. Now, there's a pretty seahorse. I do love seahorses. I thought it was the next page or two. They have polar bears and crabs, and this one. Because I love mythology. It's fascinating. And I love history. And to think that at one time, they thought that if you went beyond the map, you would run into sea monsters. So I just love that. Anyway, so this is called Fanciful Sea Life. I do not have a link on my show notes. I will see about putting one on. But it's Creative Heaven, Fanciful Sea Life, and I got it from Dover. And then I'm not for sure if this is the same stone painting for kids that I had as a giveaway not too long ago, but this one's going to my granddaughter and my daughter. Actually, my daughter, so my granddaughter and grandson can see and get some ideas. I'm kind of thinking these are the same designs. So I'm not going to spend much time on this book because you've already seen it once. But that's a sampling of the designs that they show you that you can make by painting stones. And that is going to go to my granddaughter and my grandson and my daughter. Then another book, which it's a good thing I'm not giving away. I already curled the back cover. It's because I started looking at this yesterday, and ever since my daughter and I went on our trip to the UK, oh my goodness, it would be 13 years ago. That does not seem possible. But she was there. I've probably told this story on here before, but bear with me. I apologize. She was doing research on the Celts. I knew nothing about the Celts. Being taught in American public schools, You learn names and dates of people in Europe, but you do not learn about, unless they're people like the Egyptians, or, I think even the Normans just are, yeah, got a passing mention. After this trip that Molly and I took over there, and she introduced me to the Celts, I have been fascinated by the Celts, but that's not all. I mean, all of English history and Scottish history and Irish history have fascinated me. And eventually I do want to go on to other countries, but I haven't got my fill of those countries yet. Anyways, to go along with the Celts is some of the works that have come about because of them. And this is creative Celtic knot work. Now, I did a review on the fanciful, what's it called? Fanciful Sea Life, and this one on my blog. I'm going to do the stone painting probably tomorrow. So it goes into a little bit more detail. But what I like is, okay, they give you, get to the right page first of all, they give you a graph, just a simple dotted page. And you can use that for your basic knots. They show you how to set it up. They show you how to add the lines and the curves. I'm not going to show you the whole book. I won't. But then they show you how to modify that into many different ways. They give you samples. Trying to see what else, because I wrote about this and now I'm forgetting. Oh, they did a trefoil knot, which has always, I use the word fascinated a lot, I'm sorry, but I just love it. They show you how to do borders and corners, which I want to start keeping a journal, so I'm hoping to use some of these things in there. Celtic crosses. Celtic crosses are beautiful. I'm just excited. I'm not naturally artistic. I mean, you give me a pencil and a paper and I get an idea in my head, but when I draw it, it looks nothing like that. But I'm thinking with the dotted paper, I might be okay. My husband might laugh and say, you weren't going to do well with that. They show you how to do the Celtic spirals. See if I can find. Like that. Mazes and step patterns. I'm just so excited. I'm just a little weird, I guess. And then zoomorphics, which I don't know if I'd be able to pull off successfully. But like, here's a dragon. And I might be okay with the circles, but I'm not sure if I can make a dragon head successfully. I might be surprised, but somehow I'm not sure. But look at that. I like dragons too. But I don't like to think of them as the destructive dragons. I like to think of them as misunderstood. That they show a Celtic hound. They show you how to draw these things. I'm just not convinced I can do it. But the knot work and all that, I can. How to make the Celtic hound. Like that. We will see. And when I do experiment with it, I will probably share it with you guys. I apologize now that they probably will not look anything like what they're supposed to, but there's the Celtic lion. So cool. A bird, the Celtic bird. And then people, which I'm not sure if I'll be able to do people, but I can make patterns for knitting, and I can do cross stitch and all that. I love this beard. Oh, they show a woman too, how to make a woman. They even show how to do the feet. It's just really cool. Anyways, I love this book. So I'm sorry it's not being given away. None of the books this time are being given away, but they're in the future. I try to get, every month they offer me books, and I usually try to get all of them. Because I know that if I can't use them, my grandchildren can, or somebody will. I have, here it tells me, I can't put down how many pairs of socks I've done for the soup kitchen because until CC socks are done, I'm not counting them. Until the patterns are released, I'm not counting them as done. However, when the patterns are released, you're probably going to see my numbers jump. I've made 4 chemo caps and 1 scarf, and I count my shawl as a garment, so I've made 1 garment. Now, I tell you, I was going through my books today looking for a good book to review, knitting book to review, and I'd find one and it wouldn't be in print anymore. I'd find another one, and as I'm looking through it, I'm thinking, this doesn't offer anything that my other books don't offer. So there's a couple, and one was just really outdated. Oh, one had, I could have possibly liked it, but they had to use these really, I'm not a skinny person. Shock! I know! And it sometimes bothers me when they use the really super skinny models on these in these books, because then I can't picture what I'm going to look like in them. And they may look fantastic, or they may look horrid, but that doesn't tell me how I'm going to look in them. And I hate to put the time and money, and effort into making something and then finding out, ooh, it doesn't look like anything like I wanted to on me. However, I did find one that I knew that, I mean, just looking at the cover, I could tell you, this is not a book I'm going to put on paperback swap, get rid of, whatever. This is a book I will use because this is Love to Knit Socks. And you know, I love to knit socks, even though I haven't had a chance to show you many because they're Cece's and Dammy's designs. But this is a fun, fun book with just lots of content. 35 fun socks, leg warmers, and booties that you will love to knit. And we're going to start with the gold peep toe socks. In other words, your toes peek out. And I tell you, they're kind of funny. They're made from crochet yarn. Okay. They use double pointed needles. I would still use my circulars whenever I can. And the pattern is included in 2 short columns on 1 page. These I've always thought were funny. Flip-flop socks. I've never worn them. I've seen patterns, but I've never made them. I don't know that I'd like them on myself, but you know, other people, hey, go for it. Then we have flower socks. Aren't those pretty? I like those. And you could wear those with a dress or with pants or whatever. I do love them. I almost showed you the graph, but I will show you this picture. I'm trying not to get the graph in it. It's hard to, because if I move that page, you can almost see it. And I don't like to do that. Somebody worked very hard putting that graph together, so I do not like to be the one that would spoil it for them. Then they have, I'm sorry, tabby socks, which are also like for flip-flops. I'm sorry, they just make me laugh. They just really do. But then they have the pretty things like lacy long socks. And at first I thought that was a boot. But no, it's the lacy pattern of that sock. Beautiful. I like the little lace on the top too. Oh my goodness. I like that dress, but I probably would not wear it. It's a little deep cut. I'll show you in a minute. Cabled socks. Now these are, they say they're chunky. They're made from Jameson's Soft Shetland. But you can't really, okay, there you can kind of see the cables. But I like the dress too. At one time I would have worn that and gotten away with it. Then they have the Turkish socks. I like those. I imagine my son would like wearing those. These fascinate me. I don't know if I would wear them, but they fascinate me. They're lacy stockings with a garter belt. Some patterns are just made for me to laugh at only because if I wore them, I would be funny. But I know there are many people out there that would look great in them. Like I said, just because something looks good on me doesn't mean it's going to look good on somebody else, and vice versa. Then they have men's city socks. I kind of like those too. Well, not even kind of. I do like those. Those are made with a bamboo yarn. Huh. Pretty. And lacy button socks. You can't see the pattern. You really can't see the pattern on those. They are lacy, but it's so dark that the pattern does not show up. And they don't give you another picture of it. Then they have winter flower socks. I'm getting into color work more and more. I've only done a couple things. It's going to be a knit along sometime this year. I'm just warning you. But I am getting into it. Then there's leg warmers coming up, which I'm just kind of thinking maybe I should make myself some leg warmers. See if I find a pair in here I really, really like. Bow leg warmers. Those are cute. Those are cute. Oh. My doggy would chew these up in no time. Doggy leg warmers. She would chew them up. I've made her coats before, and within 5 minutes they're shredded. Then they have stirrup leg warmers. I kind of like those. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the stirrups. It would give comfort to my arches, which would help. And by coming up over the top of the foot, that would help my arthritis in the top. Oh, sparkly leg warmers. Of course, you're making it with the sparkly yarn. And they double the yarn. They use Kid Silk Haze, Rowan Kid Silk Haze, but they double it. Huh. And then they use, they didn't use sparkly yarn. They used a spool of sewing thread in silver and gold. These days, you might as well just buy the sparkly yarn. Then we're going into kid socks. Pink booties. I could make those for my granddaughter, but I don't know if she'd wear them. Although these are made out of cashmere. Spotty baby socks. Those look nice. They're made in an Aran weight yarn. I have never used Aran weight yarn to make socks. I just never have. Oh, these are cute. Pico sandals. I don't know about everybody else's grandchildren, but my grandchildren always had a rule when they were young that if socks were only meant to be taken off. If mom put them on, they would just be taken off as soon as they could be and lost in the store or something. And thank goodness they lived in California, or live in California, because, they can get away with it most of the year. But my granddaughter would probably like these, and I could make them in different colors for my grandson. They are stripy socks. My grandson wouldn't appreciate them right now, except socks. You need to wear socks to put on shoes now. And if you put on shoes, you better be going outside. Then they have outdoor socks. We have trucks going by today. And we've had snow, and for some reason that reverberates the sound this way. They have lace cuff boot socks. They're pretty. And they are entire socks with little bells on the string. I'd probably leave the bells off. At one time I would have worn them. Oh, are they actual bells? No, I think they're just little decorations. Those are cute. I want to see. Size 3 needles. Okay. Walk the dog socks. They have little doggies on them. Aren't those cute? Those are made in cashmere too. I probably wouldn't make them in cashmere. Then they have tennis socks. Oh, I used to wear socks like that all the time. back before knitting socks was a popular thing to do. Okay, gardening long socks. If I could find just the right padding to put on the knees, those would be handy for when I'm gardening. Those would be. And they have like a little leaf pattern on them, which didn't show up on the screen. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can get there. Now you can kind of see the leaf. I'd have to find just the right cushy stuff for my knees. Ooh, ski socks. With a little skull and crossbones on them. Or maybe it's a skull and, no, it looks like skull and skis. Oh, funny. Then they have men's Aran boot socks. So they would be heavier. I don't know, my husband could wear those. Oh, he probably could in one of his boots that he has. Argyle golfing socks. My husband would wear those golfing, but he wouldn't show them off like that because he doesn't wear pants like that when he golfs. Striped football socks. Those would be fun to make for the footballer in your family. And then they have at-home socks, such as spotty slippers, similar to the ones that were made for the babies, only these are for adults. And use size 11 needles. Those would work up really fast. Turkish mini socks. So you could dangle them from a purse or whatever. Those would take no time to knit up. Really, those would take no time at all. And then we have, they call them TV slippers. I may have to make myself a pair of these. If I ever find the time to make all the things that I want to make, that'd be amazing. Slouch socks. I can't really tell if there's a pattern per se, but oh, these are cute. Cherry slippers. Huh. And then they have a Christmas stocking, because every home should have a hand knit Christmas stocking. Actually, my husband's is hand knit. Then they include the equipment and techniques. And I will tell you, this is for sale on Amazon, but Barnes & Noble, they didn't have it. I think it was $6 in Amazon, if I remember right. I'm just checking real fast. Yeah, $5.99 at Amazon. And I do have a link in the show notes. Okay, I will warn you, I had to go to the Orthopedic Institute out here yesterday because I've had lumbar issues for ages. And they've controlled it with medication somewhat, but now it's starting to act up a lot. And so I ended up going to the back doctor out there, the one that did my neck, only instead of getting him, I got an associate of his. And they're telling me next is an MRI and, you know, all this stuff. So because of that, I got worried and I started getting a migraine this morning. So I took one of my migraine pills. But because of that, I really didn't list the books that I read this week. But if you are interested, I did put a link to my blog, and you can always go over there and look at them and see. And see, my migraines always affect my mind, and I can't even remember the titles of the books that I read. I am so sorry. Now, let's see. We're done with our 100th episode giveaway, and if you're not sure if you're a winner of that, you need to go back and watch episode 100 and see if your name was announced, because that person hasn't claimed their prize yet. And if they don't claim it, that yarn may go back into the prize thingy. And I may use the pattern for this month. Because right now we are doing a knitting for others, knit along. And if you didn't know about this, you still have this month to make something for yourself. Because the last knit along was all about making for others. And I love that idea. But every once in a while, you do need to make something for yourself. So in the months of January and February, it just seems like the right time to sit back and make yourself a cowl or a shawl or a pair of socks or, whatever. Whatever it is, it could not have been started before January 1st, and it has to be done February 28th, because March 1st, I'm going to go in and I'm going to lock that thread, and there'll be no more additions at that time. Let me go to the rules and regs. Whatever you're making, if you're making it for another knit along or whatever, fine, wonderful, kill two birds with one stone, as they say. Just make sure it follows everybody's rules, because I don't want you to make it because it's for you, but it doesn't follow like a sock club or whatever. So just make sure it follows everybody's rules, and if it does, I have no problems with you double dipping, triple dipping, whatever. The prizes, I did get the prizes out. I don't know where I put them. I had the yarn out, and I had the double. I know where they are. I mean, like I said, I had it set up for recording in the chair, and it just got moved around. It could be right behind me even. I don't think so. Anyways, it is a skein of my yarn, Napier's Knits yarn, and it's a double pointed needle, protector, carrier, whatever you want to call it. And like I said, if the prizes for this month aren't claimed and we have enough entries, there might be another prize winner. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, when you complete an item, just go ahead and start a post on the Ravelry thread under Knitting for Self and put a picture of the item. And if there's a pattern name, please include that, because I love finding other people's patterns and then putting them in my pattern stash, basically. Hopefully that before I die, I'll have enough time to make everything. But put all those things in there, and March 1st, I will number each of the entries, and I will put the numbers in the random number generator, and I'll let it pick the winner. So that way I'm not having to go through and say, oh my goodness, that is beautiful. Because so far, you guys are amazing. The work that you do, if I had to pick a best pattern, it'd be impossible. And as you know, I only put love on patterns when I actually love them. And I've been putting love on almost everything, I think. So, and if I didn't, it's only because I forgot to. But because there's not been one finished object in the thread that I've not loved. And bless your hearts, those of you who put the pattern names, because I have been clicking on them. Okay, anyways, let's see. In order to win, you do have to be a member of the Naturally Kim's Knitting podcast group. So if you're not a member, just go to Ravelry, go to the groups tab, and search for Naturally Kim's Knitting, and it should take you to my site. And I have a cute little picture of a green baby, a chemo cap, as my picture, so you'll know you have the right one. Let's see. And as for all giveaways, prizes, competitions, knit-alongs, etc., the winners have 2 weeks from the time it was announced to claim their prize. So the winner of the 100th episode has until next Wednesday, actually Tuesday night, to claim your prize, because Wednesday morning I do the next episode. So, yeah, after I announce the winner, you have 2 weeks. And let's see. What am I forgetting? If you don't claim it within that time, your prize is forfeited and it just goes into the prize bin for another time. Like I said, I am so sorry if I'm kind of spacey. Migraines do that to you. Now, I do already know, because of our winner from our 100th episode, she wanted to learn double knitting, or to do a knit along with double knitting. And I've had some of you say that you don't know if you're interested in it. That's fine. I still have my finished object thread that you can always put things in. I might even have 2 knit-alongs at the same time. And those of you who are interested can always enter the other one. I may do that. We'll see. But it'll be a 2-month one. And for those of you who are interested, but you're not sure if you can do double knitting, I have put some free Ravelry patterns for double knitting. Now, you will have to copy and paste, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And there are many, 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 many more on Ravelry. You just have to look through and see what you want to make. But there's pot holders, there's scarves, there's all kinds of things. So to get yourself ready, you have some links to look at and all this if you're interested. Oh my goodness, I think that's it. Whew, look around me, make sure I covered everything that I have. Oh, what I'm reading. I did not put down what I'm currently reading. And I will tell you, this is excellent. I picked this book up yesterday. It's a book for me to review, but I had it in my pile because I was reading something else. And I know that if I don't have a book up on my Kindle before I go to the doctor, I cannot bring it up when I'm there. I've discovered this the hard way. So I was trying to bring it up, and the internet was being really slow. Well, I knew I had this book, and I knew it's by one of my favorite authoresses. Yeah, that's what you call female authors, right? And I thought, okay, I'll try it. Took it to the doctor's office, and page 1, I fell in love with this book. It's Judah's Wife, and it's about the Maccabees. And page 1, I'm in love with this book. I'm looking forward to having reading time today so I could sit down and just read and knit and just enjoy myself. This is wonderful for me to read while I'm working on my sock. But this is by Angela Hunt. And oh my goodness, I'm afraid I would forget titles. Oh, they have to give me titles of her other books. Oh my goodness. They have Lynn Austin and... Wait a minute, I'm just looking real fast. I've not read that one. I've read Esther, Bathsheba, and Delilah, and those were excellent. She's got Egypt's Sister, which I will have to look at. But she has written so many other trees. Sorry, one of her books has tree in it. And she does such research. This book has a bibliography. It also has questions if you want to do it as a book club book. But, I mean, she has references. She researches her books so well that I just think, wow. So anyways, this is called Judah's Wife. I don't know if it's out yet. I just was sent it by the publisher, Bethany House. It has a price on it. And this isn't an advanced reader's copy, so it might be out. I haven't looked. But it's called Judah's Wife by Angela Hunt. And if you've read any of her other books, you know you'll fall in love with it really quickly. Okay, I think that's the end. I think I've blathered on for long enough. It's time to tell you where you can find me online. I try to put it at the beginning, but I like to mention at the end. On Ravelry, you can find me as Napier's Knits and Naturally Kim's Knitting. On Etsy, I'm Napier's Knits. That's the name of my store. On Instagram, I'm Knittin' _Kim. And that's KNITTIN_KIM. All lowercase. Then on YouTube, Blogger, Facebook, WordPress, and YouTube, Blogger, Facebook, and WordPress, I'm Naturally Kim's Knitting. It's a good thing I'm going now. I think my pills are bringing out the wackiness. Anyways, I hope you guys have a really good week with crafting. I hope that you have a successful week with no errors or mistakes. But if you make a mistake, I hope it's an easy one to fix. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful February week. And I love you all. Big, big hugs. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.